Hey there, this is Brittany from Just Be Crafty. Today I'm going to show you how to do the granny stripe stitch. This is a classic stitch that every crocheter should have under her or his belt, so I wanted to add this as a resource for you. This tutorial is for intermediate beginners and higher and assumes you already know how to do the following skills: chaining, single crochet, and double crochet. Once you've mastered those skills, you're ready to tackle this stitch. And real quick, before we get started, I wanted to take the time to invite you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and to hit the bell so you never miss a new tutorial. I come out with new patterns on Tuesdays and new stitch techniques on Fridays, so you definitely don't want to miss out. Also, if you find this tutorial helpful, let me know by giving the video a thumbs up. So now, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. For the granny stripe stitch, you want to start with a foundation chain that's a multiple of 3 and then add an additional 2. For this example, my foundation chain is going to be 17. So my multiple of 3 is 15 chains, and then adding on an additional 2 takes us to 17 chains. So go ahead and make a foundation chain of 17 chains. Okay, so we have our foundation chain of 17, and now this first row, we're just going to do a row of single crochet. So starting in the second chain from your hook, make a single crochet, and then single crochet in each chain across the row. Okay, so I'm doing my last single crochet of row 1, and now we're ready to get started on granny stitch. So to start granny stitch, we're going to begin by chaining 3. And in that first stitch, you're going to make a double crochet. And that initial chain 3 is going to count as our first double crochet. We're now going to skip 2 stitches, and in that third stitch, we're going to make 3 double crochets. And from here on out, these 3 double crochets, I'm going to refer to them as clusters. You're going to skip 2 stitches again, and you're going to make another cluster of 3 double crochets. Just keep repeating this until you have 3 stitches left. Okay, so we have our last 3 stitches. You're going to skip 2, and in that third and final stitch, we're going to make 2 double crochets. Now we're ready to turn our work and begin row 3. So we're going to start by chaining 3, and in the first cluster space, you're going to skip over your last 2 double crochets, and in that first cluster space, you're going to make 3 double crochets. And then in the next cluster space, you're going to make 3 double crochets. Keep repeating this until you get to the end of the row. Okay, so I've just done my last cluster, and we're going to place our last double crochet of the row into the top of the turning chain from our previous row. So double crochet in there. And that completes row 3. So this is a really great place to do a color change. So if you'd like to do that with me, cut your yarn, and then we're actually going to just pull out the last yarn over of our last double crochet. So pull out that last yarn over and then place those 2 loops onto your hook, and now we're going to yarn over with our new color. To make it a little bit more secure, you can start with a slip knot and then slide that onto your hook and pull your new color through the 2 loops on your hook. Turn your work, and now to start row 4, we're going to start by chaining 3. So our first double crochet is going to go in the space between our first cluster and the double crochet from our previous row. Now, in the next cluster space, we're going to do 3 double crochets. And then in the next cluster space, we'll do 3 more double crochets. Keep repeating this until you get to the end of the row. We've just completed our last cluster, and now we're going to place our last 2 double crochets in the space between the turning chain 3 and cluster from the previous row. Now we're going to turn our work, and now we're ready to begin row 5. So we're going to start by chaining 3, and we're going to place 3 double crochets into the next cluster space. Then place 3 double crochets into the next cluster space. Once again, keep repeating this until you get to the end of the row. Okay, so I'm just finishing up my last cluster. And we're going to place our last double crochet into the top of the turning chain 3 from our previous row. So place your last double crochet in there. And that completes row 5. So I think I'm going to go ahead and change my color once again. So you're going to use that same technique. You're going to pull out your last yarn over from your last double crochet, and then you're going to do the yarn over with your new color. For this row, we're going to begin by chaining 3. And I'm going to just go ahead and tie my tails together just to keep them secure. And I'm going to place my double crochet between the first cluster and the last double crochet from the previous row. So now we're ready to do 3 double crochets into the next cluster space. And once again, we'll do 3 more double crochets into the next cluster space. Keep repeating this process until you get to the end of the row. To end the row, we'll place our last 2 double crochets in the space between the cluster and the chain 3 from the previous row. And now we're ready to begin row 6. To start, you're going to chain 3, and you're going to place 3 double crochets into the first cluster space. Next, you're going to make 3 double crochets into the next cluster space again. Once again, you're going to keep repeating this process until you get to the end of the row. And now we're going to place our last double crochet into the top of the turning chain 3 from the previous row. By now you've probably noticed that the granny stripe stitch is simply a 2-row repeat. We've been repeating rows 3 and 4 throughout this little swatch, and you would keep repeating rows 3 and 4 for the remainder of your project. So this is the granny stripe stitch, and I really hope you find this tutorial helpful. If you did, please let me know by giving the video a thumbs up, as it really helps my channel. Also, if you haven't already and would like to, be sure to subscribe to my channel so you never miss a new tutorial. I come out with new patterns on Tuesdays and new stitches every Friday, so you definitely don't want to miss out. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!